What's up, Silverback Nation? Welcome back to the channel. Today we need to talk about a game that has felt less like a standard video game release and more like a collective cultural breaking point for the racing community. I'm, of course, talking about Forza Horizon 6. It's officially here after years of speculation, fake map leaks, concept trailers made in Unreal Engine by fans, and endless debates over where the Horizon Festival would set up its next stage. We finally have our answer. Playground Games didn't play it safe this time. They packed their bags, left the Americas, and dropped us squarely into the most requested, most scrutinized, and most mythological driving landscape on Earth, Japan. Now, if you're listening to this right now, chances are you've either been playing the game nonstop, dropped, or you've been staring at the download bar waiting for all 155 gigabytes of this monster to finish unpacking on your Xbox or PC. And let's be honest for a second, before we even turn a single wheel or look at the car lift, we have to acknowledge the absolute mountain of pressure sitting on this game's shoulders. Forza Horizon 5 was a technical masterpiece, no doubt about it. Mexico looked stunning, the skybox was gorgeous, but if you talk to anyone who lived in that game for hundreds of hours, there was an underlying feeling that began to creep in around year 2, fatigue. The formula was starting to show its age. The progression felt less like a rewarding climb and more like a never-ending lottery of wheel spins, throwing hypercars at you before you even learned how to properly apex a corner in a hot hatch. The world felt beautiful, but sometimes it felt a little hollow, a little static. So when Playground announced that they were taking the festival to Japan, the entire community collectively held its breath. On one hand, it's the dream setting. It's the birthplace of drifting, the home of legendary JDM culture, the country that gave us mountain passes, the C1 loop, and some of the most iconic automobile engineering in history. On the other hand, how do you actually capture that without turning it into a cheesy, idealized caricature? How do you make a map that accommodates both a 250-mile-an-hour Bugatti Chiron and a 130 horsepower AE86 screaming down a narrow, rain-slick mountain path? I've spent the last few days completely losing myself in this game. I've burned through early access, ignored sleep, and driven everything from bone stock K cars through rural rice fields to modified monsters ripping down Tokyo's highway system at 3 in the morning. And today, I want to give you my completely unfiltered, honest thoughts. We're going to break down the map, the new handling physics, because yes, things have changed under the hood. Progression system, the sound design, and whether this game actually honors the culture it's trying to represent, or if it's just Forza Horizon 5 with a fresh coat of neon paint. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and let's dive deep into Forza Horizon 6. Start with the absolute star of the show, the map. Playground claims that this is the largest playground that they have ever constructed, but large doesn't automatically mean good. What matters in a racing game isn't the number of square miles, it's the density, the variety, and the structural design of the road. If half the map is empty desert or fields that you can just drive through in a straight line while holding down the throttle, the scale becomes meaningless. In Forza Horizon 6, the map design feels fundamentally different from anything they've done since Europe and Horizon 2. The contrast between urban density and rural isolation is staggering. You have this massive, sprawling, highly stylized interpretation of Tokyo that acts as the anchor for the entire eastern side of the map. And let me tell you, driving into that city for the first time is a genuine gaming milestone. Previous Horizon games always struggled with cities. Edinburgh was pretty but small. Guanajuato was tight but felt more like a colorful maze than a living, breathing metropolis. The Tokyo in this game feels immense. They didn't just give us a few grid blocks, they gave us multi-layered highway systems, underground expressways, tight alleyways, and massive glowing intersections surrounded by towering skyscrapers covered in digital billboards. When you're blasting down the highway loops at night with the rain reflecting off the tarmac and the neon lights bouncing off of your wet hood, the atmosphere is unmatched. They captured the sense of scale. You actually feel small inside a massive concrete jungle. The developers used real-world photogrammetry and time-lapse data from actual Japanese skies, and it shows. The lighting engine is doing some incredibly heavy lifting here, particularly with how water behaves on surfaces. But the city is only half the story. The moment you leave the urban perimeter, the roads narrow down, the concrete disappears, and you find yourself climbing into the mountains. This is where the map layout shines. For years, the drifting community has begged for proper mountain passes with actual elevation, tight switchbacks, and dangerous guardrails. Horizon 5 gave us one massive volcano road, which was great, but it felt isolated. Here, the mountains feel like an interconnected network. Roads inspired by Mount Fuji and the Bondi Azuma skyline wind through dense forests past traditional shrines and over massive bridges. The physical geometry of these roads forces you to change how you play. You can't just cut across the grass at 200 miles per hour out here. If you miss a breaking point on a mountain pass, you are hitting a concrete wall or flying off a cliff face. There is a tangible sense of claustrophobia on these narrow mountain roads that balances out the wide open freedom of the highways. Of course, a beautiful world means absolutely nothing if the cars feel like blocks of soap sliding across a marble floor. The Horizon series has always occupied a very specific niche in the racing genre, what people like to call a sin cave. It's not a hardcore, brutal simulator like Assetto Corsa, where a millimeter of overcorrection spins you into a wall. But it's also not an arcade racer like Need for Speed, where you can just tap a button to trigger an automated drift script. It relies on weight transfer, traction limits, and real physics calculations. But it smooths out the rough edges so it feels satisfying on standard controllers. With Horizon 6, they've made some subtle but profoundly important tweaks to the underlying physics engine, particularly regarding steering animation and tire simulation. The first thing you're going to notice if you play from the cockpit view is the steering wheel rotation. They've finally updated the animations to support up to 540 degrees of wheel rotation. It sounds like a minor aesthetic detail, but for immersion, it completely alters the experience. When you throw a car into a heavy slide and watch the driver's hands frantically countersteer across the column, it connects you to the physical weight of the vehicle in a way previous titles missed. But the biggest mechanical change comes down to the tires. Playground introduced dynamic cosmetic tire wear and reworked the tire deformation model. As you drive, your tires actually react to the surface temperature, the road composition, and how hard you're pushing the rubber. You can feel the distinction between different road materials far more clearly now. There's a distinct transition in grip when you move from dry asphalt to wet cobblestone or muddy gravel paths near the rural farmland. Body roll feels slightly more pronounced too. When you take a heavy, unmodified sports car into a sharp turn, you can feel the chassis lean. You have to respect the weight transfer. If you lift off the throttle too aggressively mid-corner in a rear-engine car, the back end will swing out on you. It forces you to think about your inputs, smooth out your braking, and actually tune your suspension to match the specific environment you're racing in. So where does that leave us at the end of the day? When I first loaded into Forza Horizon 6, I admit I was skeptical. We've all been burned by hype before, and we all know how easy it is for a massive franchise to just coast on its past success, throw a fresh coat of paint on an old engine, and call it a day. But after everything I've seen, everything I have driven, and every single hour I've completely lost to this gorgeous, sprawling interpretation of Japan, I can safely say that Playground Games didn't just deliver. They reminded me why I fell in love with racing games in the first place. I absolutely love this game. It's not just a step forward for the series, it feels like a genuine love letter to car culture. The map isn't just big for the sake of being big, it has a soul. The contrast between the overwhelming neon-drenched intensity of Tokyo at midnight and the technical white-knuckle terror of the mountain passes create a gameplay loop that I honestly haven't been able to put down. They fixed the physics where it counted, they gave us the immersion we've been begging for, and they built a social sandbox that actually feels like a community. Is it flawless? No game is. We can talk about minor bugs or economy tweaks all day long. But when you are hitting the red line, drifting door to door with your friends under a canopy of falling cherry blossoms while the city lights blur past at 180 miles an hour, none of that matters. This is the definitive open world racing experience, period. If you haven't picked it up yet, stop hesitating. Get out there, get on the asphalt. But hey, those are just my thoughts. Now I want to hear from you. Have you jumped into Forza Horizon 6 yet? What is your absolute favorite car to rip down the mountain? Are you spending all your time building up your estate, or are you tearing up the highway loop in Tokyo? Drop your builds and your gamer tags and your honest opinions down in the comments below and let's talk about it. If you've enjoyed this deep dive and you want to see more high-effort racing and game content, make sure to smash that like button, hit the subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. You guys have absolutely been killing it with the support lately, and I appreciate every single one of you. Until next time, this is Gorilla signing off. Take care of yourself, keep the shiny side up, and I'll see you all out on the road.